Hello, I'm Tim Beggins, president of Elk Trading Company. In this week's natural gas recap, we're looking at lower prices today. Natural gas trading at 3,402, down 7%. Reason for it? We've got a storage report that just was released at minus 116. You can see from the report that salt dome storage along the South Central was unchanged. This is going to be probably one of the more bearish reports going forward as we start to see the cold Arctic air descend into the United States next week. Let's take a look at the spot contract, the February contract, now trading at 339.90. We're down over 7%. Prices initially opened up this week very strong, up to 420, but since Tuesday have been solidly rejected in this very short trading week. Prices now are going to look for first support here at 3,407. We're already through that, and the next support level is 327.40. What's going on? We've got cold Arctic air coming through, and this is the outlook for January from NOAA. We'll continue to see below normal temperatures in the upper Midwest and along the eastern coast from West Virginia all the way down into the south. But what's the problem? Our daily cash prices are going to be very strong, but looking at the February contract, this is the seasonal outlook for warmer temperatures across the Gulf Coast all the way up through New England. Hedge funds are now looking at the end of season storage potentially at 1.8 TCF and are trading against that number with the cold Arctic air as a series of blasts rather than a long-term trend. The market is unsure about February outlook for temperatures. And now we're going forward with a look that probably this weather will be transitory and we'll get back to more above normal temperatures for February. Let's take a look at the Arctic air. As you can see, we've been talking about the cool air, the bitter cold air really in eastern Siberia that continues to filter across the globe into northern Canada and now has a pathway into the United States over the next 7 to 10 days. Looking forward, you can see that this cold Arctic air is really going to drive natural gas demand at least through next week and possibly into the following week. We have to be careful here and say that while this looks pretty cold, it may not materialize. We also have to be careful and understand where this means for the February contract. Let's take a look at North America in a little bit higher view here. We can see that that cold Arctic air is pooling up in Canada and now is starting to push further south as we get into next week in the upper Midwest and over into the mid-Atlantic states and New England. As you can see, it's a series of cool air blasts. And as we go further into the outlook, it seems like it may not last. Let's take a look at Europe. Europe is similar pattern. It's cold right now. It's going to get colder next week. And we do look to see some warming happen midweek next week, but then colder air starts to come back in a little further outlook. But then that most of that colder air is now still centered out in Russia. For Asia, much of the same. Cooler temperatures, pooling again in eastern Siberia, and keeping things very cold inside of both Koreas and Inner Mongolia. But the eastern cities of China remain relatively normal, if not above normal, down here near Hong Kong, that's Guangdong province. Let's take a look at stock performance for the week, looking at the oil and gas E&P sector. Really, we start to see that EQT, Coterra, Antero Resources, these are all producers that have exposure to the Northeast. They've been doing quite well. And you can see Comstock, which has assets along East Texas and Louisiana, has also done quite well. That's been a high short float interest there, so that may be a little bit of a short squeeze. Taking a look at the midstream companies, a little bit more of the same. Some of the LNG players are doing quite well. Cheniere Energy Partners, these have all done quite well. Golar as well for this particular sector. So let's take a look at the ice and snow cover for North America. As you can see, the Hudson Bay continues to be covered in ice on the western side, but the eastern side for the moment is relatively free from ice. Once we see the northern pass continue to ice over, that eastern side will continue to freeze. As you can see, there's snow now from the Rockies all the way through the upper Midwest and into places like Pennsylvania. This will be able to keep temperatures cooler for a little bit longer. Let's recap again where we stand. Right now, prices are down over 7% to 339.20 for the spot February contract. Let us know your thoughts. Please hit that like and subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.